Hello, I'm Yoko, and welcome to year 28 of GalaxyClan. Thank you to my Patreon supporters, always appreciate you all. And this is a little later than expected, but July was a bit of a busy month for me. And I was also trying to push that personal pride video animatic that I did out in time for June. Barely made it, but we take that. I'm also trying not to stress too much about getting these out at exact times, and more so just trying to make sure I succeed in what I want to with each video. Now, this is an interesting year, and we'll start with the StarClan section soon, but first, I actually have a sponsor to share. Unveil is an OC sharing community, which is AI-free, which in this current day is a blessing for artists. Thank you, Unveil moderator team. And this is a site that I was already interested in checking out before they reached out to me, so that's very fun. You can upload your characters with their art and write all about them with their lore. It includes some cool sections for traits like pronouns, strengths, weaknesses, occupations, and even customizable ones. You can create sections for worlds and explore the site using the Explore tab to see everyone's unique OCs, such as these that I found with just a little bit of searching. There's also a market tab for characters that are for sale or for trade. After the madness that is July, I plan on uploading more of my non-GalaxyClan specific OCs here, if you're interested in that, and I think it's a fun community. Click the link in my description to check out Unveil if you're interested, and with all that said, thank you for sponsoring me, and back to the video. Starting in StarClan now, these are JClan cats, but I'm drawing them anyway, because Ibisfleck died at 39 moons old, alongside her sister, the troublesome Hairpaw, who was only 7 moons old. Ibisfleck was mostly caring for the clan and practicing some fighting, while Hairpaw was a little troublemaker getting apprenticed to Pridequake, who was Swanstar's former apprentice, and trying to immediately sneak out of camp. She then proceeded to steal a rabbit from GalaxyClan on her first ever patrol, and on a day that her sister Ibisfleck wanted to get to know her more, Hairpaw was craving fish, so they went near the river with Pridequake, and then all 3 of them drowned in a flash flood. Swanstar lost both his daughters and his former apprentice on the same patrol, and fun fact, we streamed this on Father's Day. The game is evil, and I'm still upset, but moving on to the GalaxyClan cats. I'm so sad because Chestnut Wolf died at 54 moons old. She seemed more on edge, most likely due to the death of Brave Hal last year, and she was chatting with cats that were guarding, and while she did collect herbs, she was also seen arguing and borderline fighting with a cat from Viper Clan. Then she took Milkhair out to gather lungwort, but her sister just got in the way, questioned the use of the gathering mission, and in general was obnoxious, leading to Chestnut Wolf approaching an explosion point. And that was Chestnut Wolf's last patrol, which makes me so sad. But what also makes me sad is that she was actually murdered. It seems Chestnut Wolf had noticed her patient was out of their nest. After finding them, they got into an argument over recent disagreements, and her patient attacked her, killing her in secret. I will reveal this killer later, but this was only 4 moons into the year. But sadly, her son, the newly named Emerald Hill, also died. He was only 15 moons old, adventurous, and a formidable fighter. He was named honoring his valiance and took charge in a training session with his sister and Sparrow Ice, where he practiced tips, twists, and tumbles. He was also finding his brother annoying. He found bees in camp and got annoyed at the buzzing, attacking them like a genius. Great choice there. He got swarmed and later marked the Viper Clan border, but felt the section was muddled and had to give up and go home. Then on the same moon that his mom died, apparently he had a horrible reaction to his bee stings and died. And I feel so bad. The game even specifically said cats don't usually die from bee stings, but it seemed this time was different. I find it really sad that he wanted to be a tough warrior and fight off enemies, and the thing that killed him was trying to fight bees. Also, on the moon he died, Leopard Spots had been trying to plan things, hoping that he would get involved, possibly seeing how sick he was and trying to cheer him up. But the next death is devastating to me. 4-moon-old bossy Larksburg Kit died. She was a picky nest builder and the daughter of Rainbow Star and Cyndaquil. She was napping with her brother and then got mad no one would listen to her. She snuggled next to Wilbur and then eavesdropped on another kit when they were just a moon away from becoming an apprentice. Viper Clan cats brought back kits that snuck out, and I think it was her and her brother based on the timeline. Then one moon, Larksburg Kit excitedly followed a warrior a short distance from camp to do some promised battle training. The warrior said real warriors don't hold back, even in a spar, and Larksburg Kit nodded eagerly. Blood and dead kitten warning for a picture in 3, 2, 1. She barely had time to duck as a paw whistled past her head, and Larksburg Kit stumbled, tripping, and her head landed hard on a rock, killing her. And the picture is gone now. So a certain warrior you'll find out later took this 4-moon-old baby out for battle training, and then she died. In StarClan, she was begging Lavender Heather to tell her stories, and her full name would have been Larksburg Frost. As far as the clan knows, her death was an accident when she snuck out on her own. Sadly, the next death is Alpaca Shard, who died at 24 moons old. She had a nice conversation with Viper Clan cats with most of her siblings at the beginning of the year, and then she took the fresh kill her sister Cranedapple had been saving, specifically because she was saving it. Sibling behavior. But it's all good because later she was reminiscing with her about their kithood. Then she ran too fast and hurt her paws and was worried others were judging her, but then she chased out a fox with toad Freckle, stealing its prey. She reported a swarm of 2 legs and then found black cicada wings, which she gave to Moral Nudge. Sparrow Dance had stood up for her during a patrol once, and Alpaca Shard was getting compliments from another clan at a gathering. She was talking with Minnow Spirit about some drama, and Alpaca Shard was close to one of the kits in clan. She was actually supposed to be that kit's mentor, but on the moon she would have gotten him. She ran to Viper Clan to be with her secret mate, Snapdragon Spark, where the two said they would curse all gossipers to the dark forest, and this was the first night of the rest of their lives together. She was able to live in clan for about a moon, where she accidentally stole a Moss Clan rabbit, but she's moved it over by giving it to the cats. But sadly, when the time came for her snake trial to be a true Viper Clan warrior, she failed. Getting bit by the snake she tried to catch and dying. And that is such a sad love story, I feel bad for her. But as for the last death of the year, Fickle Moff sadly died at 50 moons old. In the beginning of the year, he almost stole a JClan rabbit, but tripped while going after it. Then Cliff Creek boosted his confidence, leading to him and Leopard Spots becoming mates the next moon. Though he then reported her for eating prey on patrol a moon later, so seems he didn't really have favoritism for his mate. Despite that, it said they flowed together like 2 streams and wanted to be together forever, which is so sad. He was also wondering why Leopard Spots keeps spending time with him when others usually don't like his attitude, which confuses me because if anything, I think it's his brother that some cats don't like. Though on that note, Fickle Moff was cleaning fallen leaves and then Bumble Buzz was leaping into it, which seems both annoying and kinda cute. Fickle Moff was then counting every cat in clan to make sure no one was missing, and sadly he ended up dying when he ate tainted prey. On that note, a bunch of cats did get poisoned when someone caught a bad rabbit, but he wasn't one of those victims, and all of those cats ended up fine. So this was just really bad luck. I'm sad to lose him, and he was a really nice cat, and he had been mates with Leopard Spots for about 7 moons before he passed. And now let's head into some living cats. Starting with the now 112-moon-old Rainbow Flare, that's right, not Star. And they're not in clan, because towards the end of the year, a ton of cats ended up getting kidnapped by 2 legs, including our leader, so I'm starting with all the new lost cats. They were exhausted after patrol, but seemed to follow the no new cats decision. More this year, turning away a loner. Then they had 2 more kits with Cyndaquil to help a Crested, though at this point I will say Crested's 2 legs finally fixed her now. She might have had a rough kidding. And Rainbow Star was the den parent, questioning their ability to lead. Swansong checked in on them, asking how they were doing, and they trained the best they could with their daughter Houndsnout in regards to dream powers, but their powers really are weakening and getting harder with their age, combined with their old head injury. At one point, though, they and their daughter saw a shooting star together. Their weak leg was also acting up a couple times this year, and they left Larksburg Kit's vigil early due to grief. They got stuck in a storm with Fawnfoot, and in general seemed to be struggling. On the moon, they got kidnapped. Their status was they wanted to protect their clan with their lives, which makes me think they could have escaped, but they went back to help others. Then, StarClan took back all their lives, knowing the clan needed a leader in their absence. Rainbow Flare was wondering how the clan's kits were doing, which is probably because they got kidnapped the moon their son would have become an apprentice. Rainbow Flare and all the other kidnapped cats have been gone for 3 moons now, so all of these upcoming cats have been fixed. Including the 104-moon-old Wishkeeper. Earlier in the year, he gave in and ate some prey on patrol, and then brought Chestnut Wolf a berry to identify, possibly not realizing that she kind of hated him. I did attempt to mediate that. He was telling ghost stories with Sparrow Ice and Luckshine, and towards the end of the year, got buried out alone, yowling for hours until someone found him. He noticed Granite Newt wiggled his butt when he practiced his crouch, and Wishkeeper purred to himself and then told Granite Newt about the bad habit, with Granite Newt nuzzling against Wishkeeper and purring. Later, Granite Newt asked out Wishkeeper, but he turned him down, saying that he just didn't feel the same. Then that was the moon they got kidnapped. As for his kids, he would bring Bumble Buzz food and was chatting with clan news. Mediators did help them get along a bit better, even if Wishkeeper's nature did annoy Bumble Buzz a bit. Also, a cloud parted over Fickle Moff and Wishkeeper, shining a light on them, which they interpreted as a sign they were meant for great things, but that was the moon that Wishkeeper got kidnapped and Fickle Moff died of tainted prey, so they definitely misinterpreted that, and that was evil. The 101-moon-old Granite Newt was also kidnapped, and he really wasn't having a good year. Sneeze-Tuff was worried that he was overworking, and a cat got kidnapped earlier in the year when out with Granite Newt. He ended up following them as far as he could, trying to get them back to no avail, being missing for the rest of the moon, and by the time Granite Newt got back, the clan had jumped to conclusions and tensions were pretty high. He was embarrassed when Wishkeeper pointed out his wiggles and was sad when he got rejected. Swansong had noticed Granite Newt was making sure everyone got home after a gathering, and he was on edge watching the camp entrance. He admitted to Wishkeeper that he might have got a StarClan vision, which based on how paranoid he seemed about safety and cats going missing, I wonder if he was having dreams and feeling guilty over the cat that got kidnapped while he was with them, to the point he started wondering if StarClan was warning him. Which, I mean, maybe they were, considering what happened. Towards the end of the year, he was wistfully thinking about his old kitty pet nest while trying to nap, and I've decided Granite Newt is staying a house cat. Unless he rejoins the clan on his own in-game. But he's coded as a kitty pet now. I think this might make him happier, honestly. The only downside is he doesn't have Daisy Below. On a positive note, he did convince a small dog to go away, probably using his dog communication knowledge. And sadly, Pumpkin Glow is also missing at 51 moons old. He was wanting to compliment Sparrow Dance's fighting techniques, and he was kind of petty to Bumble Buzz, who asked him to cover his mouth when he coughed, leading to Pumpkin Glow just straight up coughing on him. Then he ignored some two legs while hunting, following the scent of food and crawling into a metal box. He got kidnapped by two legs twice this year, the first time being when Granite Newt witnessed it and left the clan trying to follow him. In this time of absence where the clan didn't have clear answers, some cats started to spread rumors that Pumpkin Glow may have returned to the rogues, which made things tense. Eventually he did come back though, with most of his clanmates congratulating him, but for example, Downy Pelt didn't say anything at all. Early in the year, he was saving his funniest jokes for Cyndaquil, but at some point he was finding Em annoying. Possibly because of all the clan chatter about rogues and Cyndaquil and Pumpkin Glow's shared connection to them. While Pumpkin Glow was hesitant, he followed his mate Wilbur to gawk at some bucks that were butting heads. And then he had 4 kits with Wilbur, and with the help of his brother Minnow Spirit being a donor. He couldn't wait to take a nap that moon, and he didn't really get to parent much because the moon after they were born, he was kidnapped. And to add on to that, the now 48-moon-old Wilbur was also kidnapped that moon. So these kits just straight up don't have their parents. Wilbur and Pumpkin Glow are sadly not in the same area right now, but early in the year, Wilbur was having a blast running around the territory with Pumpkin Glow, theoretically training, and felt that she would burst of unexpected happiness. She was also practicing fighting with Bumble Buzz, who complimented her bravery, and she gave Sneeze-Tuff some advice. But then Pumpkin Glow got kidnapped the first time, and she went to try to find him, ending up with heat exhaustion. On that moon, she went out again, with Chestnut Wolf leaving to get her back, which they got into an argument, since Chestnut Wolf was on the side of the clan leaning towards believing Pumpkin Glow might have betrayed the clan for the rogues again. And then Wilbur killed her. Wilbur is the cat that killed Chestnut Wolf, while she had heat exhaustion. She kept it to herself, and in the end actually made more evidence to the clan that rogues were involved, at least until Pumpkin Glow came back. She tried to ignore her act and never told anyone, but was haunted cowering in her nest during a storm. When Pumpkin Glow brought up kits, she said yes, despite her inner turmoil. She was bonding with the kits in the nursery, snuggling up with Larksburg Kit, and at one point she felt the kit was ready to begin training, even though she was young. And well, then Larksburg Kit hit her head and died. So now Wilbur has a kill count of 2, and she gets kidnapped by Two Legs along with one of her kits. The next moon, a cat found her and was going to bring them both back to camp, but she decided to come clean to them, begging them to just take her kit back to camp and leave her to be a kitty pet. Pretend they never found her because she feared being killed. With the cat accepting, taking her kit, and warning that if she did come back, they would tell her actions. So Wilbur kind of spiraled a lot. She's officially the first cat in GalaxyClan to kill a kitten, which is wild. She's going to stay a kitty pet now, and she hopes no other cats look for her. Moving on, Ibisfleck is now 43 moons old, and he had a nice chat with ViperClan with most of his sisters at the beginning of the year. He suggested trading with Swansong and laughed that they didn't need to be so serious about it, bapping him on the nose, claws sheathed, and running off to avoid getting tagged back. He later failed to chase out a small dog and had to wait embarrassed in a safe place. He ate with his mom Sushi all the time, but had a slight dislike of her, as he wondered why she got to have more praise for doing the same thing everyone else does. And I think he might have been parentified a little bit and was slowly realizing that, honestly. He's always seemed to look after his younger siblings. He had a mock battle with Alpaca Shard, but then later was debating telling others that she broke the code, possibly wondering whether to tell their mom about her Viper Clan mate. He then got a little sister as an apprentice again, but didn't train her for long when one day he woke up with a mild headache and then got kidnapped. He did think he spotted Swansong while out wandering, but I'm not sure if he actually did or if it's just someone that looked like him. Moving on to his sister, the now 27-moon-old toad Freckle was also kidnapped. She was finding birdsong annoying, which made me think about how she really would not do well in JClan. Then she got a stomachache briefly and was baffled about something Daisy Billow said about religion. She stole a fox's prey with Alpaca Shard and helped the medicine cat gather moss. She compared her claw size to Fawnfoot's, and she tried to comfort Sushi, but didn't know what made her mom so gloomy that moon in the first place. Cliff Creek was checking in on Toad Freckle every day too, and she was hoping to go on the next gathering. But then she got kidnapped and was irritated by the clouds, possibly looking at them through the window. And despite only being gone for like 3 moons, she was already wondering if the clan had declared her dead yet. On another note, she rolled to be asexual and that she wouldn't want to have biological kids anyway. So at least in this case, her getting fixed doesn't really affect that part of her life, but on to the last kidnapped cat. Meet Raccoonpaw. He's 10 moons old, troublesome, and confident with words. And he has heterochromia. He's the son of Rowanclaw and Sushi, and he was an unruly kit and jumped out of a hiding spot to startle Moral Nudge. Then he couldn't sleep because of the bugs and the heat, and he was coming up with a catchy song with Sushi, and I swear this family is musical. Apparently, as a kid, he had a huge fight with Cliff Creek, and his big sister, Alpaca Shard, wanted him to be safe and happy. She was going to be his mentor, and he was sad when she ended up leaving. He was apprenticed to Sparrow Ice instead, and he fidgeted impatiently at his ceremony, wanting to go, go, go. Unfortunately, they got stuck in an unexpected storm, and he got frostbite, which didn't stop him from going on a walk when he was supposed to be bedridden. When he got kidnapped, he was wishing he could become a warrior, and we did try to look for him, but we had no luck. He was also missing his mentor's guidance, and that's everyone new that is currently lost. With Rainbow Flare gone, that means we had a new leader, and I'll say now, we left our main camp for a bit out of safety, after Two Legs kind of invaded it. So our new leader got their lives at another StarClan spot. So on to an animatic. Fawnfoot was accompanied by the Moss Clan medicine cat Tin Willow as well as Scaleheart to the great moss rock, gazing at it in awe. She pressed her nose to the shimmering moss, opening her eyes to StarClan's land. Roostertail dipped his head in greeting. Energy surges through Fawnfoot as she receives a life for determination. Horizon Petal then walks up next, offering a life for endurance, smiling and stating that the clan will do well under Fawnfoot's leadership. Spindlefox walked up next, giving a life for unity. He pauses and then shakes his head, heading back into the ranks of StarClan. Her mothers walked up next, love in their eyes. Crowfreckle was first, offering a life for open-mindedness, saying that without that, she never would have found the love she did with Swansong and Hazyflick. Hazyflick was next, offering a life for strength to fight against what's wrong. Then Fawnfoot smiled, seeing 3 of her sisters approaching next, getting teary-eyed when her littermate Weevilchomp walked up first. She gave a life for wisdom to think about how her actions will affect the future. Greenclaw was next, a little grumpy looking. She sternly gave a life for honoring the warrior code. She made a choice to leave once, but GalaxyClan is her home now and she must prove she can commit to the code. Contrasting that, Frigid Dream walked up with a sad smile, saying, "Not all problems can be solved with claws alone," as she gives a life for sympathy. Fawnfoot is confused as an unknown cat walks up. Even the scent smelled different. She introduced herself as Garlic Star and explained she was the founding leader of the clan that once lived where GalaxyClan calls home. Her eyes narrow as she explains rogues have been the cause of her death, and she gives Fawnfoot a life for putting their clan above all others. Garlic Star hails Fawnfoot by her new name, Fawnstar. Her old life is no more, and she must lead GalaxyClan wisely. The cats yowl Fawnstar's name in support as Fawnstar looks confident to take on whatever's next. But later that moon, Laurel stepped up next during a different ceremony, giving Max a life for revenge, growling to avenge his death. Cedarblaze was next, smiling as he gave a life for strength to win battles. And finally, Adderstripe walked up, eyes glinting as she gave Max a life for ego, reminding her to remember her and her clan's own worth. She proudly announces Max is officially a true leader of 9 lives, declaring her Max Star. She also praises the rogue's choice in Hornet Clan as their name, encouraging them to be as ruthless as the insects. Now we're officially in the clan with our new leader Fawnstar, who is 66 moons old. First off, despite giving her apprentice a friendly nudge when she got named, Fawnfoot was drawing blood during training that moon and said it was an accident, which would explain perhaps the tension between the two now. Her mangled tail did heal from that last year, but then later she got attacked by a dog, and she did eventually lose her tail from that, Scaleheart performing an amputation. Blood warning for a picture in 3, 2, 1. And she's very lucky because the dog had her in his jaws, and it was only because she flied out as it shook her that she survived. And the picture is gone. She tried to convince herself a tail wasn't the worst thing to lose, but she was struggling with balancing and missing tail signals. She was thinking about her life choices and made Leopard Spots dig a new dirt place for eating prey on patrol. She admitted to Sneeze Tuft and Sparrow Ice that she didn't really feel like a good deputy, but Sparrow Ice reassured her. She was imagining the chaos of a large battle, and after becoming leader, she stared down at her clanmates with unsheathed claws, promising a new era for the clans. And on that same moon, Laurel died. Yeah, Fawnstar immediately had us track and kill one of the rogues. She found a lost JClan apprentice and had them nearly in tears by the time she sent them home, and she's had her clan living outside the main camp for a couple moons. The camp itself was compromised by Two Legs, and she's trying to make sure they think that the clan no longer lives there so that they can stop looking for more cats. In the meantime, the clan is living on the territory, though she encouraged cats with connections with other clans to temporarily stay there for the time being. Though she understands the choice of some cats to stay in these clans, even if she does know that hurts their numbers. She would rather have completely loyal warriors than ones with split ties. She also encouraged the kits and apprentices to stay in other clan camps for the time. On that note, the medicine cats found a dead cat with their newborn kits on the last moon of the year, and Fawnstar and Luckshine adopted them. With Luckshine staying in Moff's clan for the next moon until we get the okay that camp is safe again. Concerningly, earlier in the year, they did have some disagreements over how to raise kits, so I hope they do well next year, but we'll see. Beyond that, as a relationship, they seem good. Luckshine was sulking at failing to catch Fawnfoot's favorite prey, but Fawnfoot just nuzzled them and was happy Zay was back. As for some other cat interactions, Fawnfoot wished Melcare would stop giving her gifts as her nest was already too full, and Fawnfoot was hanging out with the kits a lot. She seems to be getting along with Cyndaquil a bit better, but she has had some concerning statuses, such as when an apprentice had to snap her out of glaring at a clanmate. Fawnstar concerns me. Hoping she doesn't get too bad, but this sure is a start to her leadership. Now, as for her deputy, she picked her dad. Swansong is now 126 moons old, and he's probably going to retire in a couple months, but I feel like Fawnstar wanted someone that she was close to and picked him mostly as a settling-in period, if that makes sense. Swansong's been a little jumpy, thinking that every tickle on him is a spider, and wondering if it's possible to die from a thorn in his paw. He acted bravely on a patrol despite his anxieties, and wanted to compliment Crane Dapple's fighting skills. He was also bonding a bit with Sparrow Ice, which is cute since she's the daughter of his ex-mate. They spent time sheltering together and was inspired by her confident demeanor. He took advice from her and knew that it would be helpful. He was praying that Fickle Moff was doing well in StarClan and set up a stakeout with Sneeze Tuft to confirm a badger was in its den. He was nervous at the end of the year when talking to a Viper Clan patrol, which the Viper Clan cats took offense to, seeing that his demeanor wasn't exactly friendly. After becoming deputy, Minnow Spirit was apparently frustrated with him, but then overheard him crying alone and felt bad. Swansong lost his friend with Rainbow Flare being taken, and I think Swansong is concerned with Fawnstar's more violent nature, but doesn't really know how to go about stopping this. If he says killing rogues is bad, it's kind of hypocritical since he did do that by accident, at least in his opinion. But he knows Fawnstar likes Viper Clan's way of dealing with the rogues at the moment, and he seems to be uncomfortable at the violence. But he's old, he's tired, he doesn't want to lose more cats that he cares about, and he probably just wanted to retire, but his daughter chose him to support her as leader. I feel bad for him. Also, for some reason, he dislikes Leopard Spots, but into the medicine cat den. Scaleheart is 72 moons old, and she's the head medicine cat after Chestnut Wolf's death. She had a nice chat with Loner and was wondering how the cats she helped in the past are doing, and I think she's been helping Alaska, aka Oleander Spot's dad. He was recovering from an illness, hoping that his cough wouldn't get worse, and later eating crow food with no shame about if that's what it took to survive. I feel so bad for him. Scaleheart noticed Eel Mask was more quiet than usual, and when prompted, she explained the nature of prophecies in StarClan. She didn't think he was being completely honest lately, and was concerned a little bit, but later in the year after Chestnut Wolf's death, she was making a small sacrifice that benefited him. Small note, Scaleheart has a small crush on Sneeze Tuft, yet dislikes Swansong. She took Daisy Billow to help her gather herbs a bunch, and when tucking in for the night, she noticed that Daisy Billow had fixed her nest. Then she fell off a cliff and broke her leg. While down, she had nightmares about the rushing river and was staring off into space. She healed fully just in time to check over all the warriors after the mass two-leg kidnapping, and then she ended up soaked in the snow when she was digging for daisies. She was close with a Kit in the nursery and thought maybe they could be her apprentice, but they chose the warrior route. She does have some help though, because 40-moon-old Daisy Billow switched careers after Chestnut Wolf died, though admittedly she does not seem to like it much. I mean, her and Wishkeeper were gagging at the smell of some stinky herbs. She asked Pumpkin Glow an important question the moon that he came out as trans, so part of me wonders if she somehow cracked his egg. Then she was wondering if Scaleheart got any prophecies lately before she switched careers. Shortly after that, Daisy Billow became the only working medicine cat since Scaleheart broke her leg. She felt a presence join her and Downy Pelt on a patrol, but the connection wavered and vanished. On the note of Downy Pelt, she had tried flirting with Daisy Billow in the beginning of the year, but Daisy Billow kind of brushed her aside at the time. Though as of now, Daisy Billow actually likes Downy Pelt more than Downy Pelt likes Daisy Billow, which is interesting. She heard her dad purring in his sleep and was wondering what living with two legs must be like. Then she vented to Rainbow Star, and she's been collecting herbs to help out. And Wilbur mentioned that she was worried for her, perhaps saying maybe she should step down from being a medicine cat. I think maybe in an attempt to get Daisy Billow to not receive any possible StarClan messages about what she did. Fawnfoot noticed Daisy Billow was avoiding her responsibilities lately and got annoyed, so Daisy Billow went back to her expected work to the point that she was refusing to take time to groom herself. She couldn't say swiping away snow to find wilted dandelions was fun, but she continued to work. She was thinking about her life choices and apparently made Red Noise upset when she commented that she didn't think moving the border a mouse life would be that big a deal. Daisy Billow also has a beef with a child. She likes them, but she seems to have possibly pushed her own thoughts that they should have been a medicine cat apprentice instead on them. Possibly so Daisy Billow could stop being one. She appreciated how the kid would ask how she was doing, but on the moon they become a warrior apprentice. Apparently they almost got into a bloody fight if it weren't for the intervention of a clanmate, and wow, please no, don't fight children. Later she did stop to think before assuming the worst of them, but oh boy, there sure is a lot of tension here. Please see therapy. Also, her dad has become a kitty pet, so I imagine she must miss him. But part of me wonders if that's a life that maybe she would enjoy better as well. But moving into the mediators then. Ice Dash is back at 104 moons old. It did take us 9 moons to find her though, and in the meantime she was hoping the clan was doing okay without her help, and eventually started getting used to living alone. When we did find her, the game didn't auto-make her a mediator, so her first status back was imagining the mouse she was chasing was a bird and that she was a hawk. So she gained some better hunting and survival skills. She did later have a race with Rowanclaw and won too. On the first moon back, the whole clan noticed how close Wishkeeper and her were, and that was so cute, and I'm so sad Wishkeeper immediately got kidnapped. Let the siblings be together. She went back to her mediator job and got for a difficult mediation session between Fawnfoot and Cyndaquil. Then she was pranking Minnow Spirit, and by that she meant she was shipping him with his new crush. Then she was playing Moss Ball with one of the essentially orphaned Wilbur pumpkin kits, and she also tried to help out Daisy Billow and Downy Pelt. But yeah, happy she's finally home, but we're skipping Minnow Spirit for now because he's looking after his brother's kits. So Cliff Creek is now 48 moons old, and he's done a lot of work, meeting Swansong and Fickle Moff and Leopard Spots, Wishkeeper and Chestnut Wolf, Bumble Buzz and Eel Mask, Sushi and Sneeze Tuft. Man was busy. His sister Ibisfleck and JClan sadly died, but as far as his siblings in GalaxyClan, he seems to get along with Houndsnout better now, but he was not happy at a second litter existing. Getting hit with waves of envy whenever Larksburg Kit was laughing with friends, and then getting woken up early by his new little brother. He was also spending time with Rainbow Star having a race where, despite Rainbow Star's weaker leg, they won. And then being the only cat that got their joke. He was asking Raccoonpaw an important question when he was down with frostbite, and then he tried to mediate Houndsnout and her mentor Milkhair, but it didn't do much. When Cats got kidnapped, he was having a chat with a loner outside clan while trying to find clues, and Cyndaquil was worried he was overworking himself. He then helped Rowanclaw and Sushi deal with the stress of missing kids. He respects Fawnfoot's opinion despite disagreeing with it, and I mean his sister is in that rogue group that she basically declared to kill all of them at this point. He also got into a heated argument with Downy Pelt and said some hurtful things, which was possibly also rogue-related, but it might also have been a moment of snapping about how he was also hurting with the missing cats and she needed to think of everyone else too. Not the best therapist moment, but notably he does have a one-sided crush on her sister Toad Freckle, who he noticed has beautiful eyes and was always making sure to check on her. At the end of the year, he was feeling a little safer with Ice Dash joining him in the clearing and took some time to relax to watch the clouds of her. Now onto the warriors. Starting with 100-moon-old Red Noise and her new mate, 86-moon-old Moral Nudge. They got together on the very first moon of the year, and Red Noise was very proud to announce it. And on that moon, Moral Nudge is having a nice chat with a cat from another clan. which means Red Noise immediately took him so that she could go tell her brother Fawnstar. Relationship-wise, Moral Nudge did feel a little ignored by Red Noise in the beginning of the relationship, who seemed distracted by her niece and JClan, but then after Hairpaw's death, he felt bad. He became very respectful of her boundaries and understands family is a very important thing to her since she was currently worried about and comforting her brother after his loss. They got stuck in a storm together, and as they hid in a mountain cave, he made sure to keep her spirits up until she was talking, shaking, and unhappy, but determined not to lose hope. Red Noise couldn't stop gushing over him, and they were lovey-dovey all day. One time, Red Noise noticed a rabbit across the ViperClan border and commented on it, which led for Moral Nudge leaping to it, possibly not realizing it was across the border. After being caught, he did smooth it over by offering the rabbit to the ViperClan cats. When the cats got kidnapped and Fawnstar was appointed as leader, Moral Nudge promised Red Noise that he would always be there to protect her with his life. I think they're very cute, and I'm very happy Red Noise found love. Now, as for them individually, starting with Red Noise, she got poisoned by a bad rabbit and luckily survived. And then Chestnut Wolf was judging her from beyond the grave for some reason. She was training with the younger warriors and chased out a small dog. She's very concerned with Rainbow Flare both missing and how their powers aren't really working well, considering she needs them to help her out when she gets stuck in the dark forest at times. In these couple moons where the clan has stayed out of their main camp, she's probably also been spending time in JClan with her brother. As for Moral Nudge, he suggested a huge patrol, practice teamwork, particularly for Houndpaw, and he made sure to tell her that he was proud of her progress as they worked on their ambushing strategies. Perhaps this is why he was given a kit of Rainbow Flares to mentor. He helped Sparrow Eyes chase a rogue out and briefly had heat stroke. Alpaca Shard gave him the black cicada wings that he's wearing the moon that she decided to leave for ViperClan, and later he was recounting the gathering for Daisy Below and her patients. He did overdo a sparring session and got a bit bruised, and then he got giggly off some mysterious herbs that he found with an apprentice, which not the most responsible of him, but that is kind of funny. He was also defending the clan at a gathering alongside Cyndaquil, which, speaking of, next up is the 94-moon-old Cyndaquil, and M came out as Neutrois, a non-binary gender identity associated with having neutral or null gender. And Cyndaquil uses M, M's, M-self, and Quill's Quill-self pronouns now. M came out after Rainbow Flare was kidnapped at the very end of the year, but going back in time, Quill was wishing others would stop thinking Quill was soft because of Quill's past, which Cyndaquil was later saying M wasn't ashamed of. Then M was teaching Droplet Paw more defensive fighting moves, like how to weave around an opponent. Cyndaquil chuckled, guiding a lost Moss Clan apprentice home, and refused to let a badger harm anyone, making sure to warn Moss Clan. Cyndaquil was also one of the cats who survived being poisoned by a rabbit. Then, after the death of Larksburg Kit, M was begging her not to leave them all. Quill did obey the no new cats rule this time, ignoring an abandoned kitty pet that was crying for help, even if Quill would have preferred to help. Cyndaquil was training with Quill's kids, teaching defensive moves to Houndsnout, and promising Quill's son to teach him a few moves as well. As mentioned, M was worried Cliff Creek was overworking himself, and in the rogue save, Stoneshell touched noses with a GalaxyClan cat. So Cyndaquil did succeed in making contact, but in the end, Stoneshell stood by the rogues, and Cyndaquil got more quiet in clan. More cats seem to like Cyndaquil now, and despite everything, I do feel bad with Rainbow Flare being missing. At the end of the year, M was chasing a dog when M heard a cat call to stop, saying that it was their friend. This reminded Cyndaquil of Granite Newt, making Quill pause, but it just turned out to be Cubby, with Cyndaquil sighing and leaving the cat be. I think Cyndaquil is trying but feels trapped. M feels like M can't do anything for Stoneshell. Quill's other daughter, who had a different family she found, passed away in JClan, and that might have also encouraged Cyndaquil to be more active in Quill's kids' lives. M lost a kit, and the clan is getting more and more violent towards the rogues. I think Cyndaquil has been teaching more defensive moves to try to prevent killing specifically. We'll have to see how Cyndaquil does now that M's mate isn't the leader. But moving on, Sparrow Eyes is now 91 moons old, and concerningly, the rogue Laurel had been watching her with slitted eyes as she patrolled the clan border. Later in the year, we did end up killing him, so possible reason there. As mentioned, she did later chase a rogue out with Moral Nudge as well. Sparrow Eyes was wondering how Fawnfoot was doing and was hanging out with her sister a ton. She reminded her of all the advice that she gave her and how that has made such a difference in her life when Fawnfoot was having doubts. And the two had an exhausting and stressful day leading a large dog out of the territory, but at least they succeeded. She went training with her niece and nephew, Droplet Flow and Emerald Hail, which I love to see. And she did fall out of a tree, but luckily she was only bruised. She got Raccoonpaw, but sadly they only had one bad patrol where they got stuck in a storm before he was kidnapped. She hopes to find him soon. She hangs out with the kits a lot, letting one know that someone talked bad about him, and nurturing an injured butterfly for a few days with one of the Wilbur pumpkin kits. She does also have a small crush on Minnow Spirit, who took her to look at the stars, explaining the constellations to her. Next up is 86-moon-old Rowanclaw and 73-moon-old Sushi. Together they had 2 kids, and the trend continues because on that moon, Sushi got bit by a small dog, so as always, at least one parent needs an injury when Sushi kits exist. Rowanclaw is apparently sneaking out to sleep in Sushi's nest when, girl, you are literally dating and have children, you do not have to sneak. As for Rowanclaw, she looked at Sparrow Dance enviously when she mentioned possibly having a StarClan dream, which, not expected, but I guess she got a little jealous. Then she was wanting nothing more than to live by the warrior code, and was appalled when she heard a clanmate blatantly lying. She briefly got a running nose and had a nightmare involving a 2-leg trap before the mass kidnapping, so maybe StarClan did give her a vision after all. She also got annoyed when Bumble Buzz wouldn't give up a warm, sunny spot for her, not even for a minute. She also seems to be encouraging Sushi to be less hostile towards JClan, with them having a couple nice conversations and Sushi just chuckling when helping a lost JClan apprentice home. Sushi's been hanging out for kids a lot, getting giggly off some plants with Hickory Frost like a responsible mom. And she had a training session with most of her daughters when she explained a battle move, looking around and nodding at the determined faces. When her youngest daughter got sick for a few days, she brought her yummy prey and nest bedding. She wanted to be closer to Downy Pelt and was comforting Craned Apple after a hard day. She's doing her best of how many kids she has, but was very sad when Alpaca Shard left and then died. Then 3 of her kids got kidnapped, so she's been very stressed. Happy to see her less hostile towards JClan at least. Moving on to Sneeze Tuft, he's 66 moons old now. Due to mediation, he does get along with Sushi better. He got buried on a patrol, but luckily his sisters Fawnfoot and Sparrow Eyes ran in to help, and once free, they settled down and comforted each other. He couldn't believe how much time passed since his kids were in the nursery, and cheered misty-eyed at their ceremonies. He loves his kids. Then his son and his mate died on the same moon, with him slipping out of camp to visit their graves, and then getting poisoned by a rabbit, all on that same moon to add insult to injury. He tracked a dog with his son, but scattered when it saw them, and he was mostly just going through the motions in his time of grief. He seems less violence-oriented than his sisters, but also doesn't really seem to stop them, and he probably should, like when Fawnstar made a JClan apprentice almost cry. He does still seem to hang out in the medicine cat den, considering that he's gotten closer to Scaleheart to the point where there is a small mutual crush. It appears his type is doctors, but obviously he's not seeking a new relationship so soon. Could be cute in the future though. Moving on to Leopard Spots, she's 62 moons old now, and as mentioned, she did become mates with Fickle Moff after some confidence boosting from Cliff Creek. I'm pretty sure she knew exactly what Cliff Creek was doing, because she was pranking him that same moon. Though she also dislikes Cliff Creek, so there's that. While they did have some bumps and she did get in trouble for eating prey, they did seem to really like each other, and I'm sad she lost him so soon. Beyond that, she was telling other clanmates stories and complimenting Droplet Paw on a skill that she trained hard on, and later gave her advice that gave her niece courage. When Emerald Hill died, she was missing the warmth that he brought into her life, and then she got buried alone on patrol, eventually digging herself out. She did something to make Melcare's day a little happier, possibly sensing her sister was having a tough time too. And she got overexcited to catch blue jays, ending up pouncing too soon and feeling like they were mocking her. At the end of the year, a gang of rogues ambushed her, but she managed to barely escape and run for help. I think Leopard Spots is deeply hurting, but trying to be the strong one in her family, in my opinion. She lost a lot of loved ones this year, but seems to be more focused on making sure she helps others be happy. Perhaps even encouraging her sister Melcare that she would be fine and not to worry about her when Melcare was debating something very important. As for Bumble Buzz, he's 52 moons old and was practicing fighting a lot, at one point suggesting 2-on-1 fighting with Daisy Billow, but getting annoyed when Houndsnout ran instead. Later, he did have a successful version of this with Pumpkin Glow and Sparrow Eyes. He was the victim of a prank getting a thorn in his paw, and yeah, that tends to happen when you're a little grumpy and make most children dislike you. He was doing better though, making Emerald Paw laugh and thinking Droplet Paw was very polite. He does seem to really like jumping in leaves though, considering he did that when Fickle Moff was cleaning them. Later, he was praying Fickle Moff was doing well in StarClan, and he got overwhelmed trying to train alone, but shook his pelt to get rid of his nerves. He was fetching Rainbow Star for a cat that was looking for him, and surprisingly, he actually likes their son. Chatting with him about their day, having good dreams about him, and wanting to spend more time with him. I think he was hoping he would get him as an apprentice, and was disappointed when Moral Nudge got him instead. He did share an embarrassing story about the kit that he was asked not to share, but I don't think Bumble Buzz meant harm. He was also looking behind Melcare during a conversation, but I think that just means he probably doesn't like eye contact. Mood. He does still have a decent dislike for Eel Mask and his dad Wishkeeper, but I did attempt to fix it. Wishkeeper and him just kinda clash. with Wishkeeper yawning while he was trying to talk to him. Though they also did chat about clan news, and he was thankful when his dad brought him food. I'm sure that he does miss him, and at the end of the year, Bumble Buzz had the thought that rules were the only thing separating them from rogues and loners, so there's that to keep an eye on. Next up is 27-moon-old newly named Hickory Frost, who was named via community vote. She ended up a great climber and was honored for her support when named. As mentioned, her and Fawnstar don't get along that well now, and Fawnfoot probably drew blood some point during their last training session. Hickory Frost turned away a loner when out with Rainbow Star and was proud to know her clanmates relied on her. But then she caught a rabbit that poisoned a ton of cats, luckily not killing any though. She was determined to protect her loved ones, but then she got buried with Houndsnout helping her out. She was defending a friend against a rumor and was also finding her mom a bit annoying. Then at the very end of the year, she snuck out at night because she has a mate outside of clan, a loner named Rain that she wouldn't trade the flutter in her whiskers or the frill in her heart for anything. She thinks GalaxyClan would welcome her, but me and Rain both aren't so sure about that. Both her and her sister Alpaca Shard had secret relationships this year, but I hope her and Rain end better. Moving on to Crane Dapple, she healed from her frostbite, but immediately stepped in a two-leg trap, spraining her paw. After healing, Alpaca Shard stole her prey that she was saving, but as mentioned, there was no bad feelings, and it was just sibling shenanigans. She was sitting quietly on the far side of camp and got baffled by something Wilbur said about religion. Wilbur possibly mumbling something about dead cats in hopes that maybe they really don't talk to the living, considering Wilbur at this point was a killer unknown to Crane Dapple. Then she got poisoned when her sister caught a rabbit, but she did have a boost of confidence after when she chased out the rogue Crocus Whisker, but that immediately was swept away when she failed in her squirrel hunting idea, ending up in her Leopard Spots and Downy Pelt coming home shivering. And then she was startled by a bird on patrol. She did manage to not let herself panic when her sister Downy Pelt was trapped, and she was able to free her. She also currently has a one-sided crush on Cliff Creek. As for Downy Pelt, as mentioned, she completely failed at flirting with Daisy Billow in the beginning of the year, and seems to think that she lost her shot, pushing the feelings away, but Daisy Billow does indeed like her. She was taking pride in how well run her patrols were, but then she hurt her paws on harsh ground, and soon after that healed, she tripped over a trunk and sprained her paw. Then she was curious about the other clans, noticing that Alpaca Shard was a bit too enamored with a Viper Clan cat. And she was tough on herself later. She tried telling stories of her ancestors on patrol, but Eel Mask pulled her aside, reminding her to focus on her duties. Something that she told Bumble Buzz before. Then she got buried while out with her family, being helped out by Crane Dapple. After her siblings got kidnapped, she tried to investigate, but only managed to find a fluffy kitty pet. Also, Milker thought that she was a good singer, and I am once again saying the Sushi family is a musical family. Fight me. Someone go put them on tour. Next is newly named Responsible Houndsnout, who is 23 moons old now. She ended up a strange dreamer. Still not fully controlling her dream powers despite Rainbow Flare's attempts at helping her train them. Moral Nudge helped her boost her confidence, and then she was named honoring her wit. She was chatting with a kitty pet who was probably crested and disappointed Bumble Buzz when she ran away during training. She seemed to try to focus on her dream training, finding lots of napping spots, and Renoise was surprised Houndsnout understood when she was trying to explain her dark forest poofing situation. Houndsnout did tell her former mentor Melker's friends all about her secret Moss Clan mate, which ended up creating a divide between them. But beyond that, she seems like a gentle and kind cat, having a lot of strange dreams but not knowing how to control them. She also keeps running into a tortie in her dreams that she doesn't know who they are. She was training with Cyndaquil after Rainbow Star got kidnapped and thanked Cliff Creek for what he does for the clan. She does still kind of dislike him though. Moving on to the 23-moon-old newly named Eel Mask, he ended up a great storyteller and very clever. He was daydreaming about having a mate in Kit someday and was honored for his leadership. He's been hanging out with Scaleheart a lot, learning more about StarClan from her, possibly because he was a little hesitant to ask his mom since she was a bit angry since, her sister Bravehowl died. After his mom died though, he took part of her nest to keep of his own. Eel Mask actually has a lot of connections to the Medicine Cat Den when you also remember that his mentor was Daisy Billow, and it shows when, as an apprentice, he was able to grab Renoise some herbs for a headache. He assessed the situation to help out his aunt Sparrow Eyes when she was buried, and then he was thinking about his life choices, noticing that a certain cat seemed to be hiding something after they brought back Wilbur and Pumpkin Glow's stolen kit. At the end of the year, he got caught in a rock slide, but fought fast, scrambling on top of a large rock to push off of with enough momentum to escape the collapse. Badly shaken, but okay. Pretty cool of him. He seems more serious this year, possibly due to his mom and brother passing. As for his sister, she's now named Droplet Flow and is very clever. She was proud of herself and was honored for her morals. She stuck her head in a badger den and only escaped by the grace of StarClan. Stop doing that. She charged forward unafraid on a border patrol, and then she returned to a tragedy. Part of her assumed that nothing bad could ever happen to GalaxyClan when Chestnut Wolf was with her. But with her mom gone, she didn't know how to carry on, and couldn't be bothered to get out of her nest the next day, refusing to speak to those around her. After grieving for moons, eventually the world felt less dull, and she was back on her feet, using Leopard Spots' advice to regain her confidence. She went out of her way to help Eel Mask with something without being asked, and she also has a one-sided crush on Toad Freckle. I'm interested where she goes, considering she was mentored by Cyndaquil and honored for morals. Is she going to be more violent towards her foes or not? We shall see. Moving on to the apprentices. Starting with the 10-moon-old loyal Hazelpaw, who is an avid play fighter. She was a self-conscious kit and was sharing tongues with her big sister Downy Pelt. Then she was whimpering in her sleep, seemingly having bad dreams. And Cliff Creek overheard her crying over something someone downplayed the severity of. She was apprenticed to her big brother Ibisfleck and caught a shrew on her first day out, heading back to camp at the first sign of snow. She was having quite the adventure, but then her brothers and Toad Freckle got kidnapped, and she was reassigned to Luckshine. She had a small injury, possibly from trying to find her sibling, and was making sure everyone was eating well, seemingly her fellow apprentice in particular. She had an encounter with a Kia, and then admitted to Luckshine that her dreams were filled with shadows and images. Luckshine saying that sounded like a StarClan vision, and not realizing what's actually happening is that there's another dream-walking cat that has been accidentally ending up in her dreams ever since kithood. You see, the rogues have a medicine cat apprentice now named Scalepaw. She's playful, but she is part of the rogue group in the end. She's also ending up in Houndsnout's dreams sometimes as well. Luckshine did comfort Hazelpaw and say that it can't be easy dealing with that on top of everything else going on. Then when Luckshine got busy with kits, Hazelpaw got giggly off plants with Moral Nudge, so there's that. Moral Nudge is probably finishing up her training since he's training the only other apprentice, and once again, her mentor has been made unavailable. Speaking of the last apprentice, this is 8-moon-old Tiny Paw. He's charismatic and a picky nest builder, and he was born with cerebellar hypoplasia, also known as wobbly cat syndrome, which is a condition that affects his balance. He has a more manageable case, but it does affect him. As a kid, he was charming and would chat with Daisy Below about her day, but then couldn't stand hearing about how helpful she was. Sparrow Eyes let him know that someone talked badly about him, and I think there was chatter about whether or not he'd train well as a warrior. While he was close to Scaleheart, I think he was deeply offended by Daisy Below's expectation that he was going to be a medicine cat, which is what led to that big fight. As a kitten, when Ice Dash came back, he asked her an innocent but very invasive question. But then Wilbur reassured him about something that was bothering him. A very awkward interaction when you know that she got his sister killed. Luckshine was also describing the territory to him, and then he was finally apprenticed to Moral Nudge right after his parent got kidnapped. On his first day out, he was startled by a rabbit, failing to catch it, but Moral Nudge reassured him. And in later moons, he did try really hard to place his paws gently when stalking a bird. It did notice him, but he managed to smack it down and make his first ever kill. He's also excited with Cyndaquil promising to teach him some moves, and is always up to learning new things. Concerningly, he did snap Fawnstar out from staring darkly at a clanmate, though. While he was sad with Ringlethair being missing, Hazelpaw seems to be looking out for him, making sure that he ate. Now, as for the cats and kittens, Minnow Spirit is 69 moons old, and he was the donor for his brother Pumpkin Glow and Wilbur's litter. Though at this point, he's basically a dad to them, since after the two were kidnapped, he's been raising his nephews. Yucca Kit was the one that got taken with Wilbur, and as soon as that happened, he was the first to volunteer on the dangerous mission of trying to find cats. He did find Wilbur and Yucca Kit, and he's the cat who she confessed to. He's always been more of a pacifist, even in cases of extreme moments, so he promised to not say anything as long as she stayed away, accepting Yucca Kit and bringing him back to camp. He hopes to find his brother, but in the meantime, he's very serious in watching their kits. He's been mediating too, such as with Cliff Creek and Houndsnout, Fawnfoot and Hickory Frost, and managed to help Red Noise's small dislike of Sparrow Eyes go away. Possibly a little biased because he is crushing on Sparrow Eyes. He also seemed to figure out that Sparrow Dance had a Viper Clan mate and asked her a bold question. Later also talking to Alpaca Shard about clan drama, so this boy just kinda knows all the secrets, it seems. Eel Mask seems to be catching on that he might know something though. Now, as for the kits, they are 3 moons old, and we have Shy Yucca Kit, who was the one that got kidnapped, and only 1 moon old. When getting back, he was sunning with Fawnstar, so that's cute. Next is Bat Kit, who is skittish and a community rename. He had been the one that Pumpkin Glow was closest to, with his dad appreciating how nice he was. He told Fawnfoot that he was worried about her right when cats were taken and she was about to become Fawnstar. Then Moral Nudge found him sitting quietly alone before they both went back to their dens. He was also regretting eating the bug that he caught and was feeling underappreciated. Next is Know-It-All Lemon Kit, who is also a community rename. With in canon, Pumpkin Glow considered Stone Kit because he had been close to Stone Shell once upon a time, but that would have been really bad with the rogue sympathizing accusations. Lemon Kit was Wilbur's favorite when she realized they had similar senses of humor, and seeing Lemon Kit give someone his favorite piece of prey. She promised to always look after him, but we saw how that went. Fawnstar joined his game when he ran over yowling that he was the greatest warrior ever and can never be defeated, squealing in delight as she rolled over in surrender. And lastly, there's self-conscious Sleek Kit. He was afraid other cats would think he's silly and was the cat that helped a butterfly for a few days with Sparrow Eyes. He's adorable and I love him. Like I said, kits are being sheltered in other clans right now. I'm not 100% sure which clan specifically these ones might be in, but as for the next litter, I know for sure. Because after the medicine cats found 2 orphan kits, Fawnstar and the now 81-moon-old Luckshine adopted them. With them being newborns, Luckshine was sent to Moss Clan in the meantime until we find camp safe, so they are the attention-seeking Pipit Kit and the self-conscious River Kit, who, since he's a newborn, they don't really know this yet, but he's deaf and has anosmia, which means he can't smell. So we'll see how he adapts to that next year. Their dead parent that they were found with was named Plentiful Leaves and was a non-binary nervous kitty pet. Now, as for the rest of Luckshine's year, Z was, for some reason, scornfully surveying the camp in the beginning of the year, but then Z was setting a good example for younger cats. Z caught a fish while out with Fawnfoot, and as mentioned, they did have a disagreement over raising kits, so hopefully things go well with these two. Luckshine, like many cats, got buried on patrol, but Wishkeeper and Moral Nudge saved them. Z triumphantly caught a rat in Leaf Fair and took over Hazelpaw's training after Ibisfleck was kidnapped, which slightly seems like favoritism considering their mate just became leader, but it's fine. Z hissed to Hazelpaw to back up slowly when Akia was near, protecting her, and while Z did mistake what Hazelpaw's dreams meant, Z still did offer support. And that's everyone in clan, so let's look at everyone outside that we didn't go over in the beginning. Starting with a quick look at Nook, she's 120 moons old now, officially elder age, but honestly she seems fine. She's exploring and apparently ended up strolling through the city. She also heard stories about starry ancestors living in the sky, which she should already know about by now. Like I said, I think she's semi-living with Crusted, but not as a house cat. Just a cat that shows up in her yard every other day, if that makes sense. I'm sure you all know the types of cats. I will say her rogue son, who she doesn't seem in contact with, did become mates with Turbo, so there's that. Speaking of the rogues, Spinel is 81 moons old and was thinking bitterly about his former clanmates. He's mostly been doing his job building a proper clan because the rogues actually stumbled into a proper camp. Literally. It had been hidden in rubble and weeds, but once cleaning it up, they now live here in the ruins. Interestingly, his son Spindlefox gave Fawnstar a life for unity and seemed like he wanted to say something but didn't. Then speaking of Spinel's trauma, after Laurel was killed, he was given Laurel's apprentice, Twilight Paw, a young cat that at the time was badly sick with green cough. So that was probably a similar sight that he struggled with. Luckily, Twilight Paw healed, and Spinel is doing his best to train the young cat. Notably, Spinel hates Stoneshell, but I think that he's extremely jealous and feels not as needed or thought of in the rogue group. And when I say hate, I literally mean there are hate bars, it is in the red. Kinda scares me considering the rogues do not have mediators. Next up is Basil, who is 69 moons old. She briefly got white cough and then was given an apprentice. One of Laurel and Dart's stolen kits that they adopted, which happened to be Curly Dapple descendants, specifically on Streakflare's side, but that makes more sense to stream watchers. Don't worry about it. Her apprentice was Curlpaw, and she helped her learn how to hop nimbly from crag to crag, easily scaling cliff walls. But yeah, Curlpaw's dad Laurel got killed by us, so there's some added GalaxyClan hate from there. Basil also took a late night patrol to watch the sunrise of Stoneshell. Stoneshell is 48 moons old, and also Adderstripe was feeling regret for her actions, but also wanting to destroy the clan that wronged her, and I think the regret might have been how her family ended up. With Stoneshell rejecting Cyndaquil since they have contrasting views at the moment, she got heat exhaustion a couple times and then managed to beat Laurel in training, where she teamed up with Nookali. She was rewarded with an apprentice, Birchpaw, where they went hunting in Two-Leg Place, ignoring a kitty pet on the way. They also shadowed a large dog out, and by the time Maxstar became an official leader, Crocus Whisker had retired, and her second choice Laurel had just been killed, leading to Stoneshell becoming deputy. She is Hornet Clan's deputy. Then she asked out Basil on the last moon of the year and got rejected, but on the same moon, a cat named Egypt left her litter to the clan and Stoneshell took them in. So now she's a mom to 2. A noisy girl named Shatterkit and a self-conscious boy named Whisperkit. She adopted them at the very last moon of the year, so not much to say. But yeah, very big things, and she is firmly cemented in this clan now. As for now, let's head into Viper Clan. because the now 37-moon-old Sparrow Dance moved there to be with her mate Birdtooth. Early in the year, she was standing up for Alpaca Shard, which makes sense considering she also had a Viper Clan mate, though sadly, unlike Sparrow Dance, she did not pass the snake trial. Concerningly, Sparrow Dance had Adderstripe whispering in her ear, which leave her alone, do not. When trying to bring up that she might have had a vision, she tried to lighten it by saying that it was from StarClan, but then saw how envious Rowanclaw looked and stopped talking. And in the end, she joined her mate's clan halfway into the year, and honestly, she's killing it there. Training well for mate, leading a patrol that drove a large dog off the territory. Together, they confronted a trespassing rogue, which, based on the now semi-non-canon statuses in GalaxyClan save, might have been Maxstar herself since Sparrow Dance had been seen with her. And I will say, in GalaxyClan save, Sparrow Dance actually drowned on the last moon of the year, but thanks to joining during the streams, she has been saved from that fate. Sparrow Dance even apologized to Fawnstar for leaving, which Fawnstar wasn't expecting, but accepted regardless. And Sparrow Dance wasn't the only one who left for love. 62-moon-old Milkhair ended up joining Moss Clan to be with her mate Wheatheart on the last moon of the year, seeing how he was grieving at the time. She had a tough year. On a lighter note, she was making fish puns and was proud when Houndsnout got named, but then her former apprentice let it slip about her mate, and things got a little tense around camp. Her last interaction with her sister Chestnut Wolf was when they had a bad, tense patrol, and they argued, and then the next year Milkhair couldn't stop coming to tears each time her sister was mentioned. Tiny Kit also overheard her crying as well. Then she got angsty and was taunting a JClan patrol, making fun of them, until they left annoyed, with Milkhair doing this right in front of Rainbow Star. Leopard Spots tried to make her feel better, but she was feeling underappreciated and then bored. She got lost on the territory, where she actually just went to go see Wheatheart, and after the clan took a temporary break from camp after looking at everything going on, she finally accepted Wheatheart's invitation to go join Moss Clan officially. I don't think she realizes how much Leopard Spots might be needing her right now, and as I said, I think Leopard Spots encouraged her to follow her heart. Hoping Milkhair has a better time next year. Bubbling Mark is still here at 151 moons old, and she did indeed get to meet her grandkids, with Hazelpaw and Rowanclaw possibly even staying a bit in Moss Clan towards the end of the year right now. She did some successful mediating and seemed to know about Milkhair and Wheatheart's relationship. She was thinking more about all her mistakes and really taking the time to bond with her remaining family. She had a nightmare of a two-leg trap a couple moons before Raccoonpaw and the others were taken, and she grieved them deep along with Moss Clan cats who passed, and she was wondering if she was good enough. She's been feeling too down to leave her nest, so it's probably a good thing her family has been there to visit. Now into JClan. Swanstar is 100 moons old, and he's had a rough year. A cat was bringing up how hard it must be to have free legs, which made him groan, and he made his daughter's mentor his former apprentice, Pridequake, being devastated when he lost both his daughters as well as that former apprentice, all in the same moon. He then struggled with phantom pain and was unable to face the day, keeping a scrap of Hairpaw's fur as his mate slipped on grieves as well, begging for no more deaths. He fell to grief again at the death of one of his warriors, Highsnout, and retreated to his nest not eating, just wanting silence. His mate briefly got heat exhaustion and seemed sickly in general. Then he gave himself an apprentice later, and he was slightly jealous of her as she is yet another dream-powered child. They're just everywhere now. He was pleased at her correct answers about how to catch a piece of prey, and it's a good thing he had Ren Noise throughout this because he's been struggling a lot this year. Hoping the best for him and his mate slipped on next year, but it's tough losing all of his daughters. Now into the positions of power. Leader-wise, GalaxyClan has Fawnstar now, and she slightly concerns me. Moss Clan still has Streakstar, and she was busy training Rubblepaw, at one point cuddling up to him and sharing tongues like when her nephew was a kit, saying that he's grown up so fast. She was considering expanding the borders and lost a life when falling from the top branches of a tree. She was in the medicine cat den, concerned for Rubble Spider's heat stroke, and after a warrior decided to leave to be with their mate in JClan, she was talking to herself and seemed to take this extremely badly, later staring off into space, and then went on a little invite wild when inviting a lot of single parents. Part of why she doesn't really mind sheltering Luckshine and their kits for a couple moons. She had fun towards the end of the year, keeping an eye on rowdy kits, and we already went over Wastar, so moving on to Viper Clan. Frecklestar is here at 159 moons old, and he actually came out as a trans guy. Never too late to come out. He started the year stuck in his nest with a dislocated joint, and as the clan decided to hunt down any hostile cats in case they were rogues, they ended up killing a kitty pet named Eepy. He was talking to Pigeon about a potential vision, and thought he was hearing the voices of StarClan cats, which, on a cute note, Snipcloud was proud of him when he came out, and Snipcloud has been doing amazing getting cats in the StarClan and saving the Dark Forest refugees. He then got attacked by rats and eventually healed, and at the end of the year, he chased a fox off of his daughters, and then his deputy retired. Speaking of, Swansong is now deputy in GalaxyClan. Moff's clan still has Piper Arch. He ran from camp distressed when he saw Minnie's body and broke down a little. Then he fell from a cliff and broke his leg. Moff's clan stopped doing that. And Icy Pelt was worried he was overworking himself. He did his best to do his job when stuck in his nest, and then he was carefully curating his appearance to be dazzling but not too much. Maybe for his crush, the medicine cat model Iris. Then he finally healed, though his leg was weaker now and accidentally scared a queen off who took one kit while leaving behind the two that the clan took in. We immediately fixed this misunderstanding and invited her and the kit that she took. He tried gently telling Streakstar to be more careful and took Milkhair on a hunting patrol when she decided to officially stay in clan. Air Dancer is still here in JClan and felt overworked. She was also worried for his sister Highsnout, ending up devastated when she later died in the year. She also begged StarClan to send Jacada Burst back when the clan really could use their most experienced mediator. It seems she had to take over for Fawnstar a bit when he was grieving and still had insecurities. Then at the end of the year, she fell off a cliff, but survived with a broken bone. A trend, I see. In Viper Clan, Pigeon ended up retiring after the death of her mate, and also the death of her son's mate, as he had been who Alpaca Shard was seeing. And Frecklestar promoted Moffjoy, a cat that had once stepped up as deputy way back when Spruce Shadow was briefly lost, so it's fun to see him get the position again. He's deaf, and with Frecklestar so old, I think he's probably going to be the next leader. He was doing his best throughout the year, and is pretty close to Gorsglare, saving him from rats at one point. He does tend to eat on patrol, but in general takes care of the clan. He got a mate when he asked Bonefade, and they had a conversation about how it feels StarClan puts their paws to some, and not others, validating each other. And then the next moon, he was promoted. Really rooting for Moffstar, but gonna be sad whenever we do eventually lose Frecklestar. Medicine cat-wise, Chestnut Wolf sadly died, but Daisy Billow stepped up for now, so GalaxyClan has her and Scaleheart. In Moss Clan, Minnie fell out of a tree and sadly died. After Minnie died, Model Iris decided to wear her blueberries, and she talked down to Tin Willow saying that he probably couldn't get StarClan visions anyway. She was seemingly butting heads with him a lot this year, and at one point thought rules were meant to be broken. She found a couple struggling queens, inviting them, and as for Tin Willow, he was chatting with his brother Tall Shadow about what it was like being a medicine cat, later also conversing with a StarClan cat together, possibly Micah Bird again. Sadly, then his brother was found and killed by rogues, and he wailed. Despite this, he did manage to pull himself together enough to help guide Fawnfoot to get 9 lives on their territory. He felt he was meant for something better, and in general has been doing his best taking care of the many more disabled warriors, including pulling Stormywing aside to inform him gently that his bad vision is worsening, and then teaching him more about StarClan, and eventually becoming his mate. Towards the end of the year, Alpheus and his kids were invited with him, being a sincere great healer, and he was relieved Leaf Fair was finally over for the sake of his kits. In JClan, Timmy was stressed and at one point had a vivid dream and then found a dead queen in their kits. They were blunt when telling a clanmate their pelt looked dull today, but honestly that might have been more of a health concern. They got green cough and once healed they were interpreting an omen, once again finding a queen in their kits. They also got looks after speaking at a turn at a clan meeting. As for Mantis Breeze, he was rolling around in flowers and later got a poppy from Koala to wear. He was doing his best and felt a little stressed taking care of the clan when Timmy was down. He did his best to try to help a new young warrior with a broken back, but in the end, Sweet Thunder passed. He puffed up concern that Pepper Patch's vision was an omen of destruction, and a Moss Clan cat let him gather some of their raspberries. At the end of the year, he was encouraging cats to eat chamomile at Moon High, and I wonder if Lost Star is offering some warriors to help look for the missing GalaxyClan cats. Mantis Breeze also really likes Twig Bark, and Wild Beam has become mates with Larksnarf, which is adorable. She's mostly been doing her duty as normal, giving herbs to an injured loner at 2 times though, and having a list of complaints for Wastar, possibly about his own well-being. She's also helping her mom Skip Fluff with her weak leg in the Elder's Den. In Viper Clan, there's still Swamp Hopper and Gullheart, but Pom Pomperin passed to a spider bite. Swamp Hopper was caught sharing prey for Rogue Maga, possibly not realizing that was a rogue, and then laughed playfully as Treefang stumbled around because her vision was blocked by cobwebs that she helped him gather. He worked fast to treat someone's green cough and was worried about Pom Pomperin's memory. He was hoping for a StarClan message when she passed and is doing his best. Gullheart's been struggling a bit, but doing his best to be a good dad, seemingly bonding a bit more with his goofy son. When frustrated on a gathering patrol with warriors, he just counted to 10 and dismissed them. He was more sure of himself towards the end of the year, but ended the year being startled by a vivid dream and then was asking what the morals were to some elder stories, so a little concerned about that. Mediator-wise, Ice Dash came back to GalaxyClan, so we have her. Minnow Spirit and Cliff Creek again. In Moss Clan, Shard Ember is a mad lad and came out of retirement And for non-stream watchers, she's Fawnstar's littermate and has been alive since our first stream of MossClan. She's 189 moons old. She does seem hard on herself though, scolding herself for oversleeping, but seems to do her best at her job, wanting to do a good example. She also hasn't been eating as much and was too nervous to mention Streakstar was in the wrong. While she finds mediating emotionally draining, I think she was just tired of being in the Elder's Den, especially after Fawnstar's death. We already went over Bubbling Mark, so on to Ashleep. She's been doing her best in supporting others, even when down with heat exhaustion. She's pretty good at her job now and was letting kids play with her tail. JClan's mediator den got bigger despite sadly Jacada Burst passing peacefully in her sleep. Sometime after that, the childish Calypso decided to become a mediator. He seemed to struggle a bit with warrior life, and I've decided he's a distant relative of Scaleheart. And he also has started a beetle collection. He rejected Sparklemore twice, and is focusing on his new role as a mediator, which he seems to enjoy, even getting an apprentice. But Magpie Freckle failed some MossClan mediating, and was dismayed at how quickly her clanmates argue. She deeply grieved the loss of Hairpaw, and she really liked the young cat. She was watching the moonrise of Pepper Patch, which helped her a bit with her grief. And she also then accidentally made ViperClan more upset when attempting herb gathering disputes. When bored, she looked for a pair to sabotage and decided to pit Wastar against Raven. But as for Siltpaw, she's charismatic, an orphan that we found as a kit, and she mostly just played with sticks and leaves. She had been wanting to finally be a mediator, getting Calypso as a mentor, and finding mysterious forget-me-nots flowers in the frost. She was immediately helping a shy clanmate get closer to friends, encouraging Timmy and Sparkle, and Rocky Pelt was fetching her for someone that was looking for her. She seems like a sweetheart so far, but she's only 7 moons old as of now. In ViperClan, sadly Ibisfleck was killed by rogues, though so was one of the murderers in clan, and I find that slightly suspicious. Gorsefroat's been down with the fact that his mate is dead, and also his old best friend has been kinda off. Even about halfway through the year, he still seemed upset, not finding anything appetizing on the fresh kill pile. He teased Snapdragon Spark about his relationship with Alpaca Shard, and then he got attacked by rats, being helped by his friend Moffjoy. As for Berry Chase, he was spreading doubt over the way things were done, and he was also jumped by rats, asking Splinter Jumble for help, and then she died from that. He's not the last of the group of cats that were a little secret murder group in the clan. Fall Newt saved him from being attacked by a rogue, and then he rejected Verbanaclaw twice. I hope someone finds out he murdered soon. But that's year 28. We have a new leader, and I'm very concerned the game is going to make Fawnstar evil just because she has the bloodthirsty personality, and that kind of tends to happen. Rogues are getting firmly settled as Hornet Clan, even though the other clans don't know that yet. Side note, the clan name was decided on Patreon. Thank you, patrons. There's a couple new potential Dreamwalkers about, and I'm hoping we can get the lost cats back. I did add some accessories to some of them, which you probably noticed, since they did get kidnapped by Two Legs. I will say originally in-game, Fawnstar's life givers were very interesting, but in the end I made a blind Patreon poll with a ton of options to try to narrow down who I would do, because I just couldn't choose between them. For example, one of the ones in-game was Flaxroar, which is so interesting when Flaxroar was killed by rogues. I also think it makes a lot of sense that it was mostly MossClan or MossClan connected cats, since she was at their camp, and I had a lot of fun referencing AshClan with Garlicstar appearing. It's so hard to pick only 9 cats for these. But yeah, we're in a new era, and I am concerned. I'm also curious who the next deputy is going to be, because I know Swansong's not going to stick around for that much longer. He's old. Curious if it's going to be like another nepotism pick and maybe be Sparrow Ice or Sneeze Tuft if he gets an apprentice. Or maybe even her mate, Luckshine. Also, while not mentioned earlier, Maxstar and Crocus Whisker also had kits, with Dart being the donor, and one of them is a deaf kitten named Pebble Kit. But with all that said, hope you guys enjoyed the year, and I'm going to be going back to my art fight revenges now. Many links are below, as always, and thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Peace!